Mornings used to have a certain rhythm, a predictable, comforting cadence that started with the first rays of sun painting the walls. It was a quiet promise that the world was still turning, that everything was as it should be. But this morning was different. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It felt vacant. It began not with an alarm, but with a sound. A low, persistent hum that seemed to vibrate in my bones, an electrical thrum that felt both distant and deeply intimate, as if the house itself was holding its breath. I rolled over, reaching for the familiar comfort of my routine. A flick of the lamp switch. Nothing. Just a brief, apologetic flicker. Then darkness again. The hum seemed to grow louder in the absence of light. I sat up, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. This wasn't a simple power outage. This felt intentional. The air was thick with a strange static charge, the kind that makes the hair on your arm stand up right before a lightning strike. But the sky outside was a placid, unassuming blue. My phone. Of course, my phone would have the answers. It buzzed weakly on the nightstand, a last, desperate plea for attention. What the? No signal? No internet? I tapped and swiped, a frantic digital dance that yielded nothing. Wi-Fi networks, gone. Cellular bars, empty. The little icon in the corner of the screen was a stark, final judgment. No service. It was like a digital wall had been erected around me, around everyone, all our lifelines to the world, to each other, severed in an instant. The endless scroll of news, the messages from friends, the constant stream of information that defined our days, all of it had just stopped. They said the world would end one day, in fire or flood or a great cataclysmic boom. No one said it would feel so quiet. No one mentioned the stillness, the profound and terrifying silence that follows when a billion voices all go dark at once. The hum was gone. The strange electric thrum that had vibrated through the walls all morning had simply stopped. In its place was a silence so profound it felt heavier than any sound. I had to see. I had to know if the world outside felt as wrong as the world inside. Stepping out, the air was thick, tasting of metal and cold dust. The sun, a pale disk in a sky the color of rust, offered no warmth. It was noon, but it felt like the last moments of a day that had never truly begun. Everything was still, frozen in a single, uncertain moment. The world held its breath, and I stood there, holding mine with it.
Did you see it? The sky, it's moving. It's not clouds, not smoke. It's like the whole thing is breathing, shifting. I saw it from the upstairs window. The shadows. They're not right.
What's moving? His words were frantic, but my mind was slow, trying to process the impossible. The sky doesn't move. It just is. But as I followed his trembling finger, I saw it. A subtle, sickening ripple, a distortion, like heat haze on a winter day. And then the light began to fail. A shadow, vast and silent, swept over the street. It wasn't the passing of a cloud. This was something immense, something absolute, blotting out the weak sun with an unnerving speed. The temperature dropped. In the sudden gloom, the air itself seemed to glitter, filled with millions of tiny drifting particles that caught the fading light. Far off, a chorus of sirens began to rise and fall, a mournful, distant cry that only amplified the emptiness around us. The world we knew was being unwritten right before our eyes.
Repeat, this is not a drill. Stay indoors. We are tracking an unknown atmospheric phenomenon of unprecedented scale. All broadcasts are urged to relay this message. This is a global event. I repeat, this is a global... Static cuts in. Avoid looking directly at the sky. Preliminary reports indicate it's not meteorological, it's structured. We have confirmation from long burst of static.
Structured. That one word cut through the static and the fear. It landed with the cold, hard finality of a gravestone. All our history, our progress, our dominion. It was all built on the assumption that we were alone, that the sky above was just a ceiling. We thought we ruled this planet. Turns out, we were just guests. And the landlord had finally come home. The world outside had fallen silent. No sirens, no panicked shouts, just the low, guttural hum of the sky. Inside, our own world had shrunk to the size of this room, to the space between us on this worn-out couch. Every flicker of the last working lamp felt like a countdown. Every tremor in the floorboards, a punctuation mark in a story we couldn't read. We didn't speak. What was there to say that the rattling windows weren't already screaming? We just sat, listening to the frantic beat of our own hearts, a rhythm of shared dread.
I don't want to be afraid.
Then don't be. Her voice was a whisper, nearly lost in the growing static of the world ending. But I heard it. It was the only thing that was real. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not the terror that was clawing at the edges of my own sanity, but a defiant calm. A strength I'd always known was there but had never seen so clearly. In that moment, the roaring in my ears subsided, replaced by the simple, profound truth of her presence. The fear didn't vanish, but it was no longer the only thing I could feel. There was this too, this quiet certainty.
If this is the end, I'm glad I'm with you.
Maybe the end isn't destruction. Maybe it's not about loss or silence or the cold void we were all taught to fear. Maybe it's a change, a transformation, a shedding of skin. We held on, not against the storm, but with it, letting it pull us into its blinding, beautiful heart. Maybe it's truth, finally revealed.